2020. We were back at school for winter break. I was in front of the class introducing the Civil War to my middle schoolers when a kid blurted out, "Are we gonna have World War III?" It's been a while, so you may not remember that in January of 2020, there were talks of North Korea starting a war, and this was before COVID was a real thing. Okay, so back to that moment. I took a deep breath and launched into something reassuring about, well, it was all gonna be okay, maybe? I'm sure a dictator was not gonna start a war. Sure, because I know what the hell he's gonna do. As the weeks went by, I was grateful that talks of World War III died down. Of course, we were in for another surprise that March. The teaching profession has always been about being nimble and making split-second decisions. We do our very best to prepare, but if anyone thinks that teaching is about reading off a lesson plan, then you've never worked in a school. Lesson plans are Lesson plans are guides for sure, but they're only half the story. In addition to whatever content we're slated to teach that day, there are current event questions, crisis in kids' families, full moons, holidays full of sugar, fruit in kids' heads, and a whole host of people who have very strong opinions, but what we should and should not be teaching. Not to mention the managing our own fears and emotions. We're expected to be teachers, social workers, counselors, personal tutors, executive functionings, coaches, PE breaks, nurses, and sometimes news reporters. I frankly have a newfound empathy for tightrope walkers. Back to COVID-19 and being back in person after teaching virtually. We had to practically yell behind our masks to make ourselves heard. We had to eat outside or in our car. We were terrified for ourselves, our kids' families, our families, and everybody who was vulnerable. They talk now about the learning gap that students have, which is very real. But what I have not seen written about is the collective trauma of both students and teachers who are terrified. We tried to put on a brave face for the kids with smizing. Ever heard of the word smize? For you who don't know, it's when you smile so much that your cheeks hurt so that the kids can see your smile above your mask line. We had to smize the tiny little heads in the internet space of Zoom and the kids sitting in our classroom. We couldn't give out hugs, we had to sanitize everything, and we had to have the kids sit in rows. It was clear that lots of us just wanted to get back to normal. We had to figure out that line, walk the tightrope between normalcy and safety, never knowing what was exactly right. I got into the teaching profession to help kids, to watch them grow, to see the light bulbs in their eyes, to see the pride when they overcome something hard, to inspire them to achieve their dreams. The very act of having this chance to reach out and touch a kid's life is an honor. I try to do that in the ways I know how, coming up with strong, engaging lessons and responding with help and compassion when they struggle. However, when it comes to navigating through heavy stuff, then I feel like I'm walking on that tightrope. Inhale, exhale, don't look down. Step it on that tightrope and hold steady. So many times. Trayvon Martin, Sandy Hook, Michael Brown, built that wall, Stockley verdict, Parkland shooting, COVID-19, January 6th riots, Ukraine, Uvalde, a school shooting in our own city, and Chinese spy balloons. Each time, teachers have this near impossible task of negotiating the 80+ kids that come to us with 80+ different perspectives, experiences, needs, and exposures to the topics we talk about. Some need comfort, some need the unicorn and rainbows version, and some crave processing the cold, hard truth. Each of those kids sit in my class looking to me to tell their version. So I'm left searching for words that feel so inadequate and so limited compared to what I want to say. I want my students to simultaneously be reassured that the world is not falling apart, and also know that we have some real stuff to work on. Where is the right balance? I have come to accept that I can't navigate this tightrope perfectly every time. I know that inevitably I will fall off, and when I do, I will be okay, and more importantly, my kids will be okay. I am lucky to have a safety net of supportive people and words of encouragement to catch me and help me get back on and teach another day. So if you know a teacher, make sure to help them realize that they are appreciated. And if they fall off the tightrope, that you will be there with words of appreciation or a hand to help them back up.